Whittiercano, thank you for joining us. Ready to kick off the short interview?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, El Paisano, for having me here.
Welcome to El Paisano TV. I'm your host, Marisa Chavez. Today, we are interviewing Council District 2 candidate Rolando Whittiercano Cano for the general municipal elections in Whittier. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit with us. We have 5 short questions for you today so that our Whittier residents can learn more about you and your candidacy for the upcoming April elections. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Rolando Cano, and the reason I'm using Whittiercano is because I usually get phone calls about different issues throughout the city, and they always say, "What's going on, Whittiercano?" or "What's going on in Whittiercano?" So it kind of stuck, and it's been my honor to help out my community. This is my 6th time running. I've run for the mayoral seat on 5 consecutive elections, but this time I'm running for District 2 because it matters to me.
That was really interesting. Thank you for sharing that piece of information with us. Now on to question 1. Let us know why the Whittier residents should entrust you with their vote.
Well, there's a lot on the line right now. We have to deal with many issues that fall outside of Whittier but affect Whittier directly. One of those issues being ICE. The other issues are your regular issues that have not been addressed, which are crime, homelessness, lack of support, especially after COVID, a lack of support for families. But overall, it is important to ensure that we have a representative that's not just going to come in to learn what to do, but to have someone that actually knows the issues throughout Whittier and be a champion for the people. Ensure that the voice of the people translates into the agenda and that we do not ignore the population that is currently being targeted. So my main position is in District 2, we've had a high influx of ICE activity, and my goal is to ensure we protect our community.
For question 2, in your opinion, what's the biggest misconception about the current city's administration?
You know what, the biggest misconception is that we keep hearing that the issues revolve around California and LA. We lack a position where accountability falls on those that have been elected. A few years back, our city of Whittier became, formed districts. But the main issue is that the funding that usually goes towards the districts got pulled and turned into the general purse. So although we have elected representatives in every district, we actually lack true representation because the district, the elected city council member can't actually take a position to address the basic issues like cracked sidewalks, trees that may be in danger of falling, or the overall basic response time for the police, lack of infrastructure, and more importantly, our schools are doing great, but we lack investment. So right now, some of the main principal issues are taking accountability. When we elect people, we expect them to represent us. And at the end of the city council meetings, we expect them to address what the public concern is. We lack that. We lack transparency, and we lack the ability to see who's speaking during public comments. And until recently, they weren't even showing the voice of the public. So my main guarantee is to ensure that the public is heard, addressed, and that I translate and that I become a champion for the public, for the community, to ensure that they know what's going on and that the city reflects that through the agenda.
On to question 3. If it's necessary to cut spending, where would you begin?
Well, you know what? In all honesty, the city of Whittier, after they passed Measure W, we, on the first year of Measure W being approved, we actually had a $98 million surplus. Currently, we have over $160 million in surplus, and that's in addition to all the additional services, pay raises, and programs that the city has provided. And this includes the Greenleaf Promenade, which is currently controversial. So we do need to save some money, but when it comes to like raising the water rate fee, not the water rate, it's detrimental to people. So we have to ensure that we use certain funding to address the current issues that the public is facing, which is a lack of support, a lack of funding, a lack of jobs. So we have to do more and ensure that we don't cut the budget, that we actually ensure and protect the public.
With question 4, how do you respond to critics who say our public safety is not working?
You know what? Public safety is a management issue. When we see that we have what the city currently claims, a full force that's supposed to address the issues in our city, there's no reason why the response times are 45 minutes to an hour, especially with the additional funding that we have. The main issue is addressing the philosophy, giving proper direction, and creating a supportive system that patrols Whittier all in one unification, which is you have officers that are designated in 3 sections of the city to respond to one another. So all it really falls on is new direction, new management, and ensuring that the public is protected because we do have the manpower.
With our final question, can you tell me of a time you made a wrong decision and what did you learn from it?
You know what? I have taken many steps to ensure transparency, to follow the city process. And there was one point, actually a couple of points, where I reached my limit. During public comments, I did use profanity. I exercised the full extent of my amendment rights of freedom of speech. It was a point where people took it in a negative way, but once they understood what was going on, they understood that we have had enough in the lack of attention that the city council gives us. I've now taken a new direction where I'm now just addressing the public directly because it seems like the council is not listening. So the important part is that someone's at least listening to the public. So my mistake was um, to lose my patience. But we're all human, and the number one thing is that we do have to remember that when we lose our patience, we have to retract it and really represent the public and do what's best for the public.
And before we end our segment, would you like to add anything else or share with the Whittier residents?
You know what? So currently, ballots are going to be mailed out to the public. Only 3,500 ballots are going to be mailed out, where in the past we've had up to 55,000 registered voters. So a lot of you are being cut out. I ask you that you reach out, register with the city, register online, make it a point to vote because your voice truly matters. It's never mattered more than at this point in time. With ICE coming after us, with the global war, things that are occurring around the world, we really have to create a bubble that protects the community, not just for us, but for the community. Para mi gente tenemos que protegernos porque nos están atacando. Y la realidad es que tenemos que tener representantes que se miren como nosotros y que nos entiendan. We have to do more for the community. We have to protect our people, and not just in the city. We have to reach out to other cities, work with them, and create a network that really supports this community. It is important. Your voice matters, your ballot, your vote. There's no other point in time where it's been such a critical point. You can make a difference, especially in a low voter turnout. On April 14th, please come out and vote. My name is Rolando Whittiercano, Cano, and I've been fighting for you for many years. Look into all of us, find out what we stand for, and please choose someone that best represents you because there's nothing more important than taking part in making life-changing decisions. You matter more than in any other point in time. Please get out there, vote, register, and ensure that if you don't receive your ballot by the March 18th, reach out and make it a point to be included because you matter.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cano, for taking the time to speak with us, and good luck on your candidacy. Remember, Whittier residents, Election Day is April 14th, so don't forget to vote.
Welcome, Mr. Ahern. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Are you ready to kick off this short interview?
I am.
Perfect. Welcome to El Paisano TV. I am your host, Damien Zamora. Today we are interviewing Council District 2 candidate Brian Ahern for the general municipal elections in Whittier. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to stay here with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak.
No, you're welcome. Today we have 5 short questions for you today so that our Whittier residents can learn a little bit more about you and your candidacy for this upcoming April elections. Before we get started, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm 64 years old. I'm on disability. I hurt my back years ago and finally had to, put out the pasture. And I've been following city elections, or not politics, the past few years. And I'm fed up with them. That's the reason I'm running for council, because all they do is raise our rates, give poor service, and increase our taxes. I mean, they're nice people in their own way, but they have no slack for the average man. They think if you can't afford an extra couple dollars here for the city, and another extra couple dollars for the city, too bad.
Okay, thank you for sharing that information with us. On to our first question. Let us know why the Whittier residents should entrust you with their vote.
I'll be honest with them. I may not always be right, and if I'm wrong, I'll accept that I'm wrong and change my way. It's not easy for me to accept I'm wrong, though.
Okay.
It takes a while, and I'm stubborn, but I won't look out for them the same as I look for myself. Like I said, I've been following the city, and how do I say this? Simple ways like your utility bill. It used to cover your trash and your water. 14 years ago, it cost about $80 every 2 months. Now your trash costs over $100 almost. This is what our city's done. And there's no reason for it. I mean, they don't look out for the citizens. Mentioning the trash, a while back they said how we have to take our, your leftovers that you throw in the trash, they have to go green container. All right, not a problem. The CEO in front of the city council told them, yeah, they get that. That's like liquid gold to them. No one in the city council asked, well, if you're getting that, what about a little reduction or kickback to the citizens, in pay? They don't have to pay so much. No. What happened? We had another increase a few months later on. They don't ask simple questions. And that's why I'm running.
Okay. Thank you so much. On for question number 2. In your opinion, what is the biggest misconception about our current city's administration?
They don't listen to the people. They don't ask simple questions. They treat city council like it's their own country club. Their ideas, they're fine ideas, but can we afford them? This situation where they've converted Palm Park, not Palm Park, what's the other one? Over here in Lambert. They just cut down, I don't know how many trees, 100 trees, go make soccer fields, that's nice. But it already had a nice open field. And they're dealing with another problem with the insurance telling us to cut down trees. Well, the problem with the trees was it's knocking out the sidewalks. They just spent $20 million to to change a park structure. That money could have been better used on the sidewalks for all of Whittier and taking care of the insurance problem, solving the problem with cutting down trees. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in thinking that way, but that's what we need up there. Someone saying, hey, and saving the citizens money instead of every time we have an idea, charge the citizen.
Okay. Thank you so much for that response. On to question number 3. If it is necessary to cut spending, where will you begin?
Administration.
Okay.
That's a hard question because I'd have to study it and look what they're spending on. It's hard to say cut from parks because, say like your parks department, there really is no park services. Everything's vended out. Our streets department, pretty much the same thing. There's not much to cut. Pretty much the city has fire department, police department, big administration department. As far as you got to have permits, fees, plan checking. And like I said, I'd really have to study what they're spending it on and what would be, what's not necessary. I've heard some people talk about some of this artwork they put up around the city. Why? Some people consider it a waste of money.
Okay. Thank you so much. With question number 4, how do you respond to the critics who say that our public safety isn't working?
That's a hard one because I've been saying it for a while. And it's because our city, mainly before it was with situation with the homeless, petty crime, drug use. And our city said, well, we can't follow those people because the city will be sued. Meanwhile, your neighbor and mine, our packages aren't safe. Our houses aren't safe. Our cars aren't safe. Our streets aren't safe. A little off subject, but one of the things about like city council meetings, they've implemented a new policy because of the situation where people are allowed to curse during the meeting now because freedom of speech. Now, I know the mayor personally dislikes foul language, but he set up a policy for public speaking that's against the Brown Act, limiting the people. I mean, they've been limiting our ability to speak to start with time limits. And they're just too controlling as far as, what the public can do and can't do, and what we're spending the city's money on and not.
Okay. Well, now for our final and last question. Tell us of a time where you made a wrong decision, and what did you learn from it?
Well, this is a good one because I probably making a fool of myself here, but you got to speak out. And sometimes, when you do say things, you say them wrong, and you have to come back and apologize for it or make a correction. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I'm a married man. My wife points out my mistakes all the time. And you do the best. You go on, you fix it. You admit it, you go on.
Okay. Well, before we end our segment, would you like to add anything else, or would you like to share anything to the Whittier residents?
Well, I thank you all for allowing me to run for council. I know I'm not going to win. I may get 2 or 3 votes because I am married and my wife probably vote for me. But what we need, whoever gets in council actually needs to start asking these questions when they're up there, instead of sitting there in awe and letting these people raise our rates. Whatever it is, whether it's the water, trash, parking rates. Right now, everyone's going crazy over gas, and that'll come down too. But mainly it's money. Who should have it? Us who earn it, or the city saying back, you've earned the money, we can take it. And that's the biggest problem. We need someone up there saying, hey, city, we work with our means. We can't just reach into the citizen's pocket. And thank you for letting me speak. I know I make no sense.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ahern, for taking the time to speak with us and stay here today. Remember, Whittier residents, Election Day is April 14th, and don't forget to vote.
Welcome, Ms. Santana, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be back here on campus.
Ready to kick off the short interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome to El Paisano TV. I am your host, Marisa Chavez, and today we are interviewing Council District 2 candidate Vicky Santana for the general municipal elections in Whittier. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. We have 5 short questions for you today so that our Whittier residents can learn more about you and your candidacy for the upcoming April elections. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Vicky Santana. I'm a 30-year-old resident of the city of Whittier. What brought me to Whittier was I had a baby my sophomore year, and so I transferred to Whittier College. And my son had his first birthday in Uptown Whittier, where we lived. I graduated from Whittier College, and then I worked as a counselor, started my own business with 2 other people doing counseling in the workers' comp industry. And then I decided to go back to school like many of our students. And I was 31 and my son and I went across the country so I could do my master's degree from Harvard. And so I got my master's in public policy, started working for Supervisor Gloria Molina, and that's where I really learned how government works and how important local government is. In 2011, I ran for trustee for Rio Hondo College, representing District 2 or Area 2. And I was here until December of 2024. And I'm so proud of the work that we did as trustees to help our students finish their educational goals and get either transfer degrees or do career technical educational certificates so that they can move on. And so I'm running because I care about Whittier, and I feel like it's time for change in Whittier, and so here I am.
That was really interesting. Thank you for sharing. Now on to question 1. Let us know why the Whittier residents should entrust you with their vote.
Well, I have over 20 years of experience in local government. I've worked for the county for over 20 years. I started, like I said, with Supervisor Gloria Molina, and I learned all of the policy work related to contracts, so the boring stuff like contracts, but also exciting stuff like education, preschool, law enforcement, juvenile justice, risk management, because the county is one of the largest employers in the county. And I've also was an elected trustee, so the public knows my record, and I have a record of over 13 years. And so I have the experience. I know how to deal with budgets. At Rio Hondo College, we had several bad budget years, and we had to do, one of the goals was to try to minimize the layoffs of staff and also to minimize the impact to students, so that we weren't, even though if we had to cut, we weren't cutting in those very critical places. So I have the experience, and I'm ready to govern on day one.
And for question 2, in your opinion, what is the biggest misconception of our current city's administration?
The biggest misconception that they represent the entire city, because they don't. And so some of our current council members have been there for over 20 years. And I think that they've been there a little too long. I do believe in term limits. That's why I didn't run for a 4th term at Rio Hondo. And I feel that they're missing the mark on a lot of things. There's overdevelopment happening. And while I believe we do need to build more housing, it's not affordable, what's been developed. And what has happened is that additional housing has impacted District 2, because we're the entryway of the city off of Beverly Boulevard, off of Whittier Boulevard. And so traffic is terrible, getting worse, and speeding is out of control, where one of my neighbors was hit, and she was parked outside of her driveway, and she was hit coming home from church, and she unfortunately died. So these things are real serious. And I feel that the council isn't focusing on quality of life issues. So my goal is to represent District 2 and be the voice when I get elected.
On to question 3. If it is necessary to cut spending, where would you begin?
Well, the city actually has I think $60 million fund balance. So I don't think cutting is necessary right now. I think my first focus would be, how are we going to spend that money? How are we going to take the burden off of residents when it comes to infrastructure issues that are tied in together with the cities, like, people's, and I know it's not sexy stuff, but sewer lines connect into the alleyways, and the alleyways belong to the city. Well, that fix, I just replaced my main line, and that fix could be $10,000, $30,000. It's a big expense, but part of it is owned by the city. So why don't we use some of that money to help relieve that pressure on residents? Because there's it's a dual responsibility. But if we're going to cut, we have to look. I mean, I can't tell you today, because the way I am, I'm a detailed-oriented person. If you see my questions when I was a trustee, I ask a lot of questions. I know my colleagues sometimes got frustrated with me, but I asked a lot of questions because I want to know, how are we spending the money? And not just a line item, but like, what does it look like for the constituents? So when it came to students, what did it look like for students? What did it look like for staff? So for me, like sitting here right now, not having the benefit of having all of the staff briefings and being able to ask the detailed questions, I can't tell you what to cut, but I do believe in efficiencies. I do believe that if you look at how government works, and this is what I've done my whole career, is I look at how does it look like in real life? How are government employees doing the job, and how do we create efficiencies without cutting the staff? And so that's going to be one of my goals, is to learn how the city of Whittier works and see how we can save money so we could spend it on other things that help communities, like better parks, more programming.
And with question 4, how do you respond to critics who say our public safety isn't working?
Can you expand on the question?
how do you respond to our critics saying that our public safety isn't working, like the public safety that we have in Whittier is not doing its current job?
Well, I mean, so two things, right? So there's the issue of murders and rapes and stuff, and I think that that's horrendous crimes, and I think that's down. But I think that's down not just in the city of Whittier or the county, but across the country. For some reason, and thankfully that's the case. Those type class one crimes are down. But I think when I've been speaking to residents, a lot of the concerns are more quality of life issues. One of my neighbors just last night had her catalytic converter stolen. So her car was parked. She lives in a cul-de-sac, and her car was parked on the cul-de-sac right in front of her house, and it got stolen. So that not enforcing basic traffic laws. So if our police department were to enforce traffic, then people might not be going 80 miles per hour down Beverly and causing accidents and injuring people. Also, some of the residents have complained to me that our code enforcement is too heavy-handed and our parking enforcement is too heavy-handed. So, for example, some residents have told me that they redid the streets in their neighborhood, and they got ticketed because they had to park in another street, I should say, and there was not enough room for them to park, and then the street cleaner came, and so they got ticketed. So for me, because I've known law enforcement for working for Supervisor Molina, here being a trustee with the police, with our wonderful police academy, I feel that I have the experience to look at it holistically and making it work for our residents.
And with our final question, can you tell me of a time you made a wrong decision and what did you learn from it?
Oh boy, a wrong decision. What did I learn from it? So, I mean, I'll give you a difficult decision. So, I ran for state senate in 2018, and it was a very short race because it was a special election. So it was a 6-month race, and usually people do that in 2 years. I did it in 6 months, and so I was trying to raise money, and there was a reporting period. So I decided to loan my campaign money, and so I did. So it was a big amount. It was $60,000, but I didn't have that money. So my parents loaned it to me, and then I loaned it to the campaign. I let my treasurer know of that. Unfortunately, my treasurer didn't tell me that that's not allowed, because that $60,000 loan, personal loan to me, is considered a contribution. So my account got audited, and went through this whole long investigation. I think it took long because of COVID. Everything was behind, and so it was embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So now people use it to question my ethics and my integrity but it was ignorance. And I decided to settle. It wasn't like they ruled against me. I decided to settle in part because they were trying to get my parents in, and so I settled to take them out of the finding. And also because, one thing I learned is that ignorance of the law is not a defense. And so me not knowing and me trusting my treasurer was not a defense that I could have with the FPPC, which is the Fair Political Practices Commission. And so I said, you know what, let's just settle. My treasurer paid a portion of it. So I learned a big lesson. I changed my treasurers, and now I'm so paranoid. Anything that comes into my political campaign is reported and appropriately. And it was a big, big lesson for me.
And before we end our segment, is there anything you would like to add or share with the Whittier residents?
Sure. So I care about Whittier. I've been here for 30 years. This is where I raised my son. And I love our community. And I just, while there's a lot of beautiful things to the city, there are things that could improve. A lot of them are quality of life issues that have been ignored. And so I have the experience to start governing on day one. I'm ready to hit the ground running. And I learned so much from Rolando, from being a trustee here, and from our students. And so all of that I carry with me. And so I ask that the voters of Whittier trust me and vote for me on April 14th.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Santana, for taking the time to speak with us today, and good luck on your candidacy. Remember, Whittier residents, Election Day is April 14th, so make sure you vote.
Welcome, Mr. Ramos. Thank you for joining us today.
Damien, thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
No, you're welcome. You ready to kick off this short interview for today?
Yeah, let's get it done.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to El Paisano TV. I am your host, Damien Zamora, and today we are interviewing Council District 2 candidate Rene Ramos for the general municipal elections in Whittier. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit here with us today.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be back here at Rio Hondo.
All right, thank you. We have 5 short questions for you today so that our Whittier residents can learn more about you and your candidacy in this upcoming April's election.
Okay.
Before we get started, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So, like everyone's known now that we've been doing this for a few weeks now, I'm a lifelong resident here of Whittier. I've been here for 50 years. I went to all the Whittier schools, from middle school down the street right here, Dexter Junior High School, Whittier High, and ultimately ended up here at Rio Hondo.
Okay.
I am a retired special agent from the state of California.
Wow.
And I also did 12 years as a task force officer with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, a duly sworn officer with the FBI. I'm a married husband of 26 years and 2 children, one that is a Rio Hondo College student at this time.
Okay, thank you for that information. Now on to our first question.
Yes.
Let us know why the residents of Whittier should entrust you with their vote.
Well, like I've been saying throughout the whole campaign, is I am the homegrown resident, the homegrown candidate, I should say. I decided to come into this race because I've been seeing that the people want one of their own in the election. I made a decision after speaking to my family, speaking to my neighbors, speaking to the residents, and I jumped into the race 48 hours before the deadline. And so far, the results have been positive. The people want to see one of their own doing the right thing for our city.
Thank you for that. What is, in your opinion, what is the biggest misconception about the current city's administration?
Well, I think the misconception is that, or I don't know if it's a misconception, but I think one of the biggest issues I've seen right now, or by talking to the people, is there seems to be some sort of disconnect between our city council and mayor's office and the residents. And for me, that's what motivated me the most to say, hey, I'm the kind of guy that's going to talk to anybody and make someone feel important because we're all important people. So I think the disconnect between City Hall and the residents is one of the biggest issues I think we see in Whittier right now.
Okay. Now on to our third question. If it is necessary to cut spending, where would you start?
Oh, wow, that's a hard question. Cut spending. I think we just have to be always stay financially responsible, to be honest with you. When you talk about cutting expenses, what the city government owes to the people, most of it is very important. But if we have to cut, it's wasteful spending. And obviously, when when we got to actually doing the job as a city council member, we can identify where we can cut on wasteful spending. So that would be the answer: is wasteful spending.
Well, thank you for that. What is your response to the critics who say that our public safety isn't working?
So one of my big push for my campaign is I come from a public safety background. One of the things that I'm implementing, and I've said it on prior candidate forums and whatnot, is I want to enhance public safety by giving our officers enhanced training. Officers who are highly trained do their jobs a lot better, provide the citizens what they need. They know how to make better sound decisions out in times where critical situations occur. And by that's the best way we can enhance public safety. And if they say that the question was, they think it's...
The question was, how do you respond to the critics who say our public safety isn't working?
You know what I would say, honestly? Take a ride along. See it for yourself. See what they're doing every day. And then make a decision on that. Unfortunately, right now, there's a lot of people that just view public safety on what they see on television, on social media. But has anybody who wants to criticize or talk about public safety, have they ever taken the time to not just see it or read about it on the news or social media, but take time to study it And like I said, take a ride along. That's when you're really going to learn what it is that these public safety officers do, and fire department.
Okay. Thank you for that. And
Yes.
for our fifth and final question, tell us of a time where you made a wrong decision and what did you learn from that?
That's a really good question. I think when I was young, I was planning to be a law enforcement officer, and I was in my early 20s. And once you start the process of doing a background check and whatnot, you almost feel like if maybe you can be above standards to where you feel like you're indebted to something, or something that is given to you because you think you're already going to be at that law enforcement career. And then you got to realize, like, hey, you're just a person and you need to humble yourself and get through this process and do good for the community, once you get in. But I think you get a little overachieved to be that officer, and then you always got to just humble yourself and realize that you're just a person, and you're trying to do something good for the public.
All right, thank you. Before we end our segment, is there anything you'd like to add or share to the residents of Whittier?
I just want to say thank you for the kindness that's been going on. We've been hitting it really hard, door to door. My wife, myself, my children, and our supporters. The residents have treated us really, really well, and it just reassured my commitment to my campaign. And I just thank the residents for giving me the opportunity and taking the time to listen to me.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ramos, for taking the time to speak with us today. Good luck to you and your
Thank you so
candidacy.
much.
You're welcome. Remember, Whittier residents, don't forget to vote, and Election Day is April 14th.